Method and post-method, are they really so incompatible? TEFL methodology is said to have moved beyond methods to the post-method condition. Although post-method pedagogy has freed us as TEFL professionals from many of the constraints of concept of method and helped us to practicize by providing new options to the classroom teacher, the post-method condition has brought with its own constraints on our thinking, not least of which is the claim that methods are dead. So one of the limitations of post-method is that it claims that the methods are dead. Contrary to this claim, some consider the term method to remain an apt description of what teachers do in classrooms. Three definitions of method. Definition 1, smorgasbord of idea. Methods with a lowercase m means a grab bag of classroom practices. According to this prescriptive, methods include programs, curricula, procedures, demonstrations, modes of presentation, research findings, tests, and more. But how can one fashion a coherent whole from such a smorgasbord of ideas? Definition 2, prescription for practice. Methods with an upper M seems to mean a fixed set of classroom practices that serve as a prescription and therefore do not allow variation. Brown defines method this way when he argues that virtually all language teaching methods make the oversimplified assumption that what language teachers do in classroom can be conventionalized into a set of procedures that fits all contexts. Definition 3, organizing principles. Richard and Rogers write about methods as an umbrella term comprising approach, design, and procedure. According to Richards and Rogers, a method is theoretically related to approach, is organizationally determined by a design, and is practically realized in procedure. What are post-method pedagogists' arguments to defeat method? First, post-method pedagogists argue that methods, prescription for practice, were really very limited in that they only dealt with the first lessons on mainly lower level courses. Second, post-methodologists argue that methods can never be realized in their purest form in classroom according to the principles of their originator, because methods are not derived from classroom practice. Now, argument against prescriptive methods. L2 teaching professionals know that what is realized as method in classroom emerges over time as a result of the interaction among teacher, student, and material, also activities. This notion of social construction of method in different classrooms suggests that what is called method is often a prior rationalization of many similar teaching practices rather than a set of prescriptions emanating from one source. Even seemingly monolithic methods like grammar translation and audiolingual method owe much of their apparent prescriptive coherence to the rationalizations of method historians. A further argument against prescriptive methods is that little of interest remains in them. But this argument ignores the huge influence that the community language learning Silent Way Suggestopedia have had on language teaching. Now, critical views about post-method. Kumaravadivelu tells us that the post-method learner is an autonomous learner, and Bram's 12 Principles of accepted assumptions about second language acquisition, which include language ego, self-confidence, risk-taking, all concern that scholars address in their method. Just as proponents of designer methods often doubted that teachers left to their own devices would teach systematically, post-method pedagogy fear teachers will slavishly follow whatever method they have been trained in. The obsessions of both sets of theorists undermine or underestimate the intellectual autonomy and discernment of the practitioner. Whereas the concept of method has been attached for its positivist and progressivist view of linear development of teacher practice, the charge can equally be made against post-method pedagogy. If post-method is substituted for postmodern and apply linguistic for education and policymaker, one can see that post-method or post-methodology is one further manifestation of the search for method. Certainly an alternative to method, as it narrowly defined, but at the same time an alternative method, as defined in the scene of organizing principles. The term is this: post-method and CLT. Kumaravadivelu outlines a framework of 10 macro strategies based on current theoretical, empirical, and pedagogical insights. According to Kumara, a macro strategy is a broad guideline based on which teachers can generate their own situation-specific, need-based micro strategies or classroom techniques. Macro strategies are theory neutral as well as method neutral. Yet many of Kumara's macro strategies, like negotiated interaction, integrated learning skills, learner autonomy, and so on, look remarkably like CLT. Post-methodology, therefore, rather than going beyond the method, may be understood as a synthesis of various methods under the umbrella of CLT, or what Leo calls a method redefining condition. Conclusion: methods are not dead, nor will they ever be. Likewise, methods need not imply, a post-method need not imply the end of methods, but rather an understanding of the limitations of the notion of method and a desire to transcend those limitations. Method and post-method together can liberate our practices.